So I'm going to wake us up a little bit. What I do, my thing is, I go into, I would love to say urban environments, but I catch myself in more non-urban environments than I do urban. But God has really called me to do hip-hop music. And I never thought I'd be doing this. I always wanted to do music, but not necessarily hip-hop music. So this has reached a bunch of kids, and it's great to see them and their lives change through it. Just like you guys are changing lives through graphics and printing. So cool. Hit it, CJ. It's hey. Oh, sorry.
Take two.
I know. Thank you. Someone's awake in here. Hey, yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. So when I was 15, I was going through a lot of trouble. My friend Brittany Ralph came up to me, and she was just like gung-ho about Jesus, and I wasn't. And this is how I kind of heard her and my perspective. So I wrote a song about it. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yes, better. I took 39 lashes to the side. I took them straight, didn't even try to fight. Let the people spit all up in my face, so that you, my child, could run your race. Let the people know that I be he. They got mad, hung me from the tree. In 3 days I rose from the dead. Now here I am, wanting to be your friend, yeah. I'll get with the torture, baby. I'll get with the saints, not me. Listen to me, you're beautiful. But you were hung on the cross that day. You I rose up from my grave. Come closer and get to know that I love you. So how many of you have been to like a hip hop concert before? Awesome, that's actually a lot. Down south, you guys like hip hop. So what we do, we like to move a little bit, get you warmed up. So if you would just take your left arm and go from right to left with me. On beat now, you gotta do it. There you go. Now this is the rapper's part, and I don't really rap, I sing, so I'm gonna rap it for you guys. So pray for me and my rap. So I was beat down to the floor, and I was trapped in my sins until he rose. Now I'm flying. You can stop to the chorus. Only because I'm breathing, nothing in myself is by his grace. I'm breathing, you know. Yes, you can say I'm a diamond in the dirt. Jesus up in heaven, he's the standard of my worth. Man, value of my soul was more weight than the earth. I ain't got a dick for gold. My treasure's in the church.
Don't care what they say.
What they say to you. Yes, I will be tripping. Okay, now here we can go. Hey, say hey, 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 hey. Okay, hey. Hey, you can say hi. How you doing? Let's say hello to each other. How are you doing? Just take a coffee this morning. So when I go into the neighborhood, right, and I don't know these kids, I always invite them, first song out to Jesus, and it goes like this. If you're feeling tired, just come. If you're so inspired, just come. If your heart is aching, just come. Put down your reservations and come. If you're feeling lonely, just come. You are not the only, just come. He loves you oh so much, and baby, I'm asking you to come. Hey, hey, can I get to know you, baby? Yeah, 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 yeah. He will take you higher. He can take you so high, and he don't care who the people be. He don't care what they say, he don't. 'Cause he wants you. He wants you. Yes, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And hey, can I get to know you more? Yeah, yes.
All right.
So people always ask me, Martay, how'd you get into this? And it's just a God thing, you know? I was going through a lot when I was younger. I was about 15. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. I was about 15, and my parents, I lived in a ritzy neighborhood in Salinas, you know, nice oaky town at the moment, and we were living in front of a field, and it's all about agriculture there. So when I was 15, my parents, we had it all, you know, we had like 5 cars. I only had 2 parents, and I couldn't drive. Like, how many people need 5 cars like that? We had a tri-level house, just stuff like that, crazy stuff. I was really fortunate as a kid. I had everything material-wise, swimming pool, trampoline, just bikes. Like, I couldn't use it all. Now that I look back, it's ridiculous in my mind. But we didn't have love, you know? And that's one thing that God is really bringing to my eyes, is that love just cures all. This world needs love. It's just, I, as a kid, was desperate for love. So desperate. I didn't even know it, you know? I'm walking around, I think I have everything figured out. And my parents are on the verge of divorce. Like, my dad, his father had died. And so he started doing cocaine. And we had the money for it. So he just spent all our paychecks, well, not my paychecks, but his paychecks on cocaine. And it wasn't crack cocaine. It was like the pure substance, you know? So he was always dead mentally. So I'd walk home, and I'm excited about all these accomplishments that I've done. And I say this because I'm not trying to glorify my family in any means or, you know, do anything. It's not about me. Just, there's so many people like me. So when you hear my story, I hope that you can kind of gauge it when you're walking on this earth. Even when you walk outside, you just don't know where people are at, you know? Everything looked great when people looked at me. I had the best clothes. I smiled. I faked the joy, you know? But it wasn't there, you know? And so my dad, he'd be sitting on the couch. I'd come home after school. And that was about 7th grade. I was playing basketball, and I was daddy's girl, firstborn, and he had taught me how to play basketball. So I'd walk in the house, and I'm like, Dad, I scored 10 points at the game last night. Like, it was so cool. I did this and that. And he would look, like, he'd be on the couch right there, and I'd be, like, standing in front of him, like, just going crazy. You know how kids are, like, woo, Dad, I did this, and he's just looking straight, yeah. He's looking straight through me. He had no expression on his face. He couldn't even respond. And it really hurt my heart, because this was, like, my favorite person in the world. And he died to me, but yet wasn't dead physically. So, like, it wasn't enough for him to just, you know, die. Like, he couldn't just die and leave the earth, and then I wouldn't have to deal with it and see it all the time. I was constantly reminded as a kid that my dad was dead because he was walking dead in front of me. I didn't know how to cope with this because my family, we were Christians, but we weren't Christians. We didn't know what true love was. We didn't know how to walk in love, how to get healed from pain by just coming to the throne of God. So here I am, just like I mentioned, Brittany Ralph. I'm walking into middle school one day, and she just walks up to me, and my name was Gabby at the time. Well, it still is. Gabriella Martay is my full name. They call me Martay. And so I was going by that, and she's like, Gabby. She knew I was hurting, but she didn't mention it, you know? You don't always have to mention the fact that something's going on. You just see it. She's like, why don't you come to church with me? Now, mind you, this girl is 15 just like I was. Why don't you come to church with me? And I'm looking at her like, dude, I don't want to hear the birds chirp. I don't want to go to church with your fake people and hypocrites. Like, I don't want to be there. But she just kept loving me, just coming after me. And so I just went. And I've never, ever had an experience like that before. I was just sitting in the 6th row of the church, and I just heard this worship team. I was into R&B and hip-hop, like I'm kind of doing. I never thought I'd sing it, but, you know. And then I heard the worship team start, and they're like alternative rock. And so I know I wasn't drawn to that stage by the music, because I thought it sucked, to be honest. I love it now. It's great. It's really grown on me. But the presence of God was so strong in that room. And I could feel just peace upon my heart. And honestly, you guys, the world just doesn't know peace. We have something that they just don't have. And so I started digging in the Word, and in Psalm 145:18 it says that the Lord is nigh unto those that draw upon Him, and draw upon Him in truth. So that really taught me just to call upon God and be real with Him. He doesn't want my fake prayers. He doesn't want my fakeness. He wants me to be me and Him to be God. And so through that, I really got through my hard time. And so this next song is called I Need You. And if I could leave you guys with anything today before Joe Hagen comes up, I just want to inspire you to not grow weary in doing well. Like, even me as a musician on the road, like this morning, we didn't get enough sleep last night. And I'm thinking, like, God, I cannot do a tour in April. We're supposed to do, like, a full-out, like, 2-month tour in April. And this is only a week and a half, and I'm, like, already, like, about to fall dead on the 3rd day. I'm like, God, this is not for me. Like, I can't do this. It's just too much. I'm going to grow weary. Maybe I'll just stay home and volunteer at the youth group there. It's way easier. And God has called me, you know, and don't grow weary. Every smile, every time you listen to somebody, you know how people just get annoyed and keep talking so long and you just tune out? You never know. If you just stay into, you're laughing because I'm totally true. I do the same thing. When people are talking to you, just stay in tune. You never know where they're going to throw up and vomit onto you while they're talking and how God can use that. Exactly. So, this next song is called I Need You. Ooh, yeah, yes, I need you. Woke up just yesterday, had nothing good to say. I'm feeling empty, feeling cold. The pain surrounds me, so much it's hard to breathe. I can't go facing this alone. I need you right now. Please don't let me drown. Grab me fast and hold me close. Hold me close. There's nobody like you. No one loves like you do. God, I need you right now. I need you. Oh, can you hear me screaming? Need you. Oh yes. They say I'm drifting. You see me slipping. Lord, all I have is you. They never liked me, always trying to find me. Lord, what am I supposed to do? I'll run to your shelter, seek your protection. Hide me from this world so cold, 'cause you care for my needs. Only you give me peace. God, never let go. Yes, need you. Oh, I need you, God. Yes, oh yes, I need you. Oh, I can trust in you. You're more than what I see. In you I find eternity. You are my counselor, the giver of my worth. In you I'll never have to search. So when people stab at me, when my heart's hurting, only you can turn me right. You can turn me right. I'm tired of seeking anything but your time. God, I'm surrendering now. Yes. Oh, I need you. Oh, every second of my day, there's nobody like you. I surrender my heart and I give it all up for you. 'Cause you're God, yeah. Nobody is like you, my Lord. And I need you right now up in this place. God, oh, hallelujah, Lord, yes. And I'll say it one more time. Oh, there, I didn't just, and then desperation, but to be honest, I was in prayer for like 2 years, and I'm really just blessed to see my dad totally alive, on fire for God. He attends church, not that church is like, the means of always being a Christian, because there's some crazy people in the church. But my dad's on fire, like believes in God and the Holy Spirit, and he's praying, and he'll call me up with revelation, and I'm like, I just get so teary. I'm like, who is this man? Like God has totally restored him. So just little things. And it happened with Brittany Ralph. Brittany Ralph, 15 years old, just invited me to church. So don't overlook the small things that we can do.
That's cool.
So next up is Jill Hagen. She's awesome. She's from Canada, and Jill is secretly black and doesn't know it. I tell everyone that, but it's really true. And so she wants a black child one day, and I told her I'm not going to be a surrogate mom and have one for her. So if you guys know adoption agencies, let her know.
Weird. Cool. Yeah, thanks. We'll just do it. Yeah, so my name's Jill, and I do come from Canada, and I don't think I have much of an accent, but you know, some people down here tell me I have a little bit of one. So I don't know what exactly that means, but cool. But yeah, it's great and exciting. You know, I honestly sort of fell asleep in the car, and I don't even know where we are. What town is this?
Canada.
It's Canada.
Made it.
What is the town?
Calgary. No, I'm just kidding.
Santa
Santa
Fe
Fe
Springs.
Santa
Fe Springs.
Santa Fe Springs. You know, in Canada, we literally like have lots of breaks between our towns. So everything just seems to sort of run together down here.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy. I think you have actually, like, the population of California, I learned, is about the size of all of Canada. So we're kind of like, wow, this is a lot of people in this little room. All right, well, sorry. I'm kind of weird sometimes. I'm going to sing you a song. Usually I'm a keyboardist, but I don't have a keyboard here. So I'm just going to sing it with a track, and then we're going to sing one with the guitar as well. So this song is called Room for the Ordinary, if you can find it there.
Yeah.
Is it there? Sweet. And then I'll tell you a little bit about it after. Yeah.
Yeah, a Martay moment.
I'm a pop rock person, so.
Sometimes I'm living my life in some kind of video game, like a puppet master plays controlling everything. And I will run when you say run, and I will jump when you say jump. On the course where everyone goes, I'm feeling like a clone. On my way to the finish line, my destination zone. You say spin a circle around, and you say leave but don't fall down. I am room for an ordinary life. You can't box me inside and think I'll stay there, 'cause I won't stay there. I am room for an ordinary life. Your game is just a lie, but not in my life, 'cause it's my life. Reach the stars, you pick and choose the ones that I should have. Maybe I'll escape this time if I hide up on a cloud. Will I run when you say run, and will I jump when you say jump? What if I decide that I relinquish your control? Allow myself to be transformed and live for so much more. I will fly 'cause I got wings, and let go of vicarious things. I am room for an ordinary life. You can't box me inside and think I'll stay there, 'cause I won't stay there. I am room for an ordinary life. Your game is just a lie, but not in my life, 'cause it's my life. Alright, here's the part where I just go like this, because I usually have a band. So I can pretend I have air guitar, so we did this whole song after a little guy in my band made a little Mario riff, and we thought it'd be fun to write a song like this. Here it comes. Oh yeah, I'm not yet. Just kind of head bob to it. Here you go. Up, down, follow everyone else around. Oh, down, up, down, don't ever let yourself be found, but I will not, I will not conform. I am room for an ordinary life. You can't box me inside and think I'll stay there, 'cause I won't stay there. I am room for an ordinary life. Your game is just the right, but not in my life, 'cause it's my life. Not in my life, but in my life. Oh, well, I don't really need this, but oh well. Cool. You probably are wondering, like, what in the world is that song about? This is kind of cool. I just want to share with you something. I'm actually a teacher by trade. I have my teaching degree, and I was teaching in Canada at a Christian school. And actually, where I'm from, Christian schools are public schools, so they're fully funded schools. So it's kind of crazy. I live in a province of Alberta, and they have a whole bunch of public Christian schools right now. So no tuition, and kids can just come, anybody. So it's really crazy, really open,
Where
yeah.
at in Alberta?
I'm from Camrose, Alberta.
I lived in Lethbridge when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're an
Long time ago.
Albertan.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sweet. Cool. You know, there's
I
actually
had
a
a
lot of
mom
Canadians down
up in
here.
Canada. Now I have a mom.
You have a mom in
mum.
Canada?
Yeah, we used to say mum up there instead of
Flowers.
Mom.
And we used to fall on our bum instead of our bottom.
I say that. Okay, sweet. This is awesome. What else do you say? Oh, cool.
Battery, radiator.
Radiator?
Radiator.
Radiator.
Yeah, battery.
Oh, cool.
What?
Do you say Chesterfield or couch?
Oh, couch.
Couch?
Yeah,
Oh,
Chesterfield.
Davenport. Well, see, we call our hats in the winter time toques. So I don't know if you've ever heard that expression.
And we don't have a Z.
in high school.
Yeah, you have a Z.
We have a Z, yeah.
We had to sing your alphabet several times, and I always said Z in there. I was like, man, it rhymes better than saying Z, you know? That's kind of how it goes as a Canadian. Anyways, okay, so I was teaching at a place called Drayton Valley, Alberta. And, you know, it's kind of crazy because I've always wanted to be a teacher. I went into university, and I went straight for my degree, and I just finished, and I went into teaching, because I really wanted to be teaching. And I was writing songs in my basement as kind of a side project for myself. And the Lord started to really stir up in me that I was supposed to share them. And to be really honest, I didn't want to do that. Because when you bring out a song, you become extremely vulnerable to people, because all of a sudden they see your life and the things that you've just struggled with now is open to everybody. And so it took me years, like I'm serious, years of like disobeying God. And it just would not go away. You know, God gets like that sometimes, you know. So, you know, I was like, oh boy. So I ended up going to make an album, and I was still teaching, and I literally had no idea what I was going to do with it. Like, I was teaching. And the Lord showed me that year in 2007, of September 2007, when I started making the album, that I would not be teaching in 2008 in the next year. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, am I like losing my mind? I mean, I've got a good job here. And sure enough, the next year, I ended up having this real calling, like feeling that God was leading me to leave my job and you know, a permanent contract, which is hard in Canada right now for teachers, and to step out in faith and to go into full-time music ministry. And I thought this was crazy. Like, I honestly thought this was crazy. I thought I was going nuts. And I was like, well, are you serious, God? Like, I told you I would surrender my life to you, but are you for real? I know nothing about this music realm. Like, I can sing worship or I can do this or that, but I seriously don't know what I'm doing. Well, I kind of felt like, you guys know the Indiana Jones, like the Last Crusade.
You guys have ever seen that one? I kind of felt like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. You know, he's going to find the Holy Grail, and he's going through this sort of cave-like thing to find it.
The penitent man kneels.
Yes. This is awesome. Great. So you know how he's standing like up against, like he gets through all these traps, and he's got this book with him, and then he's like standing up against this chasm, like he comes to this chasm against the wall, and he's just standing there, right?
Yeah.
And he's looking down, and like honestly, he can't see the bottom, and we're all kind of going, what's gonna happen to him, right? The book says go forward, and then his dad's like dying in the background, like Indy, you know, and so we're all like, you know, whatever's gonna happen. So you just see his foot go out, and I have horrible balance. If I fall over, I'm sorry. So you see his foot go out, and we're all like, oh my goodness, you know. And then he like takes this step down.
Bit, so
Yeah. He falls. Obviously, I'm not showing you if I was doing it from the chair. But he falls, and what he discovers beyond him is that there's this path he can't see with his eye that's completely invisible. And I feel like taking a step of faith looks very much like that. You know, we seriously take our step off the cliff going, oh my goodness, God, what is this even going to look like? And we don't see that invisible path that we're supposed to be on, that's going to take us to where we're supposed to go. And so you know, being in this ministry has been one of the most difficult things in my life. Stepping out into a calling of the Lord, and you find like the enemy just wants to attack you. And also, I didn't know what I was doing. So in 2008 of September, I stepped out like that in faith and just believed that somehow it was going to turn out. And I'm now in 3.5 years of full-time ministry, and the Lord has provided completely along the entire way. I made another album and have just been traveling and touring around because that is what God gave me as a calling to do. And I just wanted to share a verse with you. I'll maybe put this here. I don't really need this. I'm a teacher, so I can talk really loud. But I was reading, you know, in the Bible, and it says in Matthew 10, and this was really convicting for me because it says, do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be his members of his own household, which is pretty crazy. And anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who does not take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And I guess my question to you today is, are you walking in obedience to Christ and what he's asked you to do? You know, are you every day putting down yourself and saying, you know, I'm going to take up your purpose, God, today? What is it that you have for me to do? And I'm just as guilty of not walking in the purposes of God. I don't trust sometimes. I mean, even recently, just like God has always provided for me financially, and it just comes. I don't know how it happens, and sometimes I stress about that. I sit there and I stress and then say, how is this going to work out? And I just, like, I feel so encouraged that, you know what, God is asking us to surrender our lives completely to him. You know, it's not just a little piece of us, it's all of us. And it's scary because we don't know what that's going to look like. You know, we don't know what the surrender is going to look like. But, you know, even just surrendering my life to him in this regard, my faith is growing and is growing and is growing so that I can believe for greater things because I've watched God show me the little things and be faithful in the little things. Yeah. And so this song, Room for the Ordinary, was just a song I had actually came inspired. I was speaking in church about what my ministry was, and I met a missionary there in church, and I said, you know, when you step out and do something for God, and you know, it's so crazy. You never want to go back to what you knew before because your faith is growing so largely that you can't believe it's growing. Well, you know what? I said, it's so strange. I can't go back. It's not that I can't go back to teaching. I just can't go back to how I knew life before in terms of my faith. And he said, well then, Jill, you are ruined for an ordinary life. And I love the saying so much. I thought, that's so cool. And so I wrote a song, I'm ruined for the ordinary, because that's what I want my life to be about. Not just an ordinary life. I want to live it every day in the obedience of Christ, whatever that looks like, right? Amen. So, amen. I want to share a song with you just to end here, and it's a worship song. And while we were on an extreme tour, as CJ and Martay were talking about, we went on this tour. It travels kind of all across the country, but I just joined the leg kind of here on the West Coast. And we ended up in a place called Lovelock, Nevada. Does anybody know where that is? No. Yes, okay. The middle of nowhere, literally. It's in a desert, it's in the middle of nowhere. It was way out of our way. We were traveling in California and we were going up to Oregon, and it was just way out of our way. And we thought, what are we doing? You know? Like, why do we have to travel over here? So we show up in this town, and honestly, the climate of the town just felt so dark, you know? There was a native reserve that was attached onto the town, and we were with our host, and we were kind of driving around the town, and they were showing us different spots, and oftentimes we'd go in there to try to connect early with the kids and try to help them come out to one of our shows where we'd be able to tell about God. And so we show up, and here's this native reserve. It's covered with all this graffiti on the outside, and the girl, the host, she said, you know, you don't want to go in there because, you know, they're not under, you know, the same law as the U.S. law. Anything could happen to you. And so we went back, and we told the group, there was 6 bands, so there was about 40 of us. And we told the group what this girl had said. And we're like, as we were praying, we realized we need to go in there because these people needed to hear about Jesus too. And so we were thinking, how are we going to go in there? You know, like, we were just a bunch of random people, and we all looked different, and like, what are we going to do? We ended up getting this chair, and we hoisted this guy up in a chair, and we put him on there, and he had a trumpet. And he started blowing and playing jazz music as he like walked down the reserve.
This was Jill's idea, by the way. She's like, I think I've heard from the Lord. And we're like,
no, I don't think I heard from the Lord. I just,
okay. We're like, whatever, we're gonna get killed.
Just trying to random thing. So, anyways, these people start coming out of their house because they're like, what in the world is going on? Heat of the day, you know. And it was the coolest moment because we were able to share with them about the show that we were gonna have the next day. And honestly, in a town of 2,000 people, we got probably about 300 people standing out in this park where we played. And we played and we played and they danced and they whatever all night. And then at the end, we got the opportunity to share that we were here because we wanted to express the love of Christ to these people. And we saw over 40 people come to Christ just in this little moment.
Awesome.
We were singing a song called Give Me Jesus, and I'm wondering if we could sing it this morning, if you know it. I'd like to sing it with you to kind of end our time here. And that is my prayer, is that you can have this whole world, but just give me Jesus. Just give me who he is, what he embodies, you know? That's what I want my life to be about. So, please join us. It's a pretty easy song if you don't know the words. It's really simple and pretty repetitive. I'm going to call Martay and CJ up because they did this. This is how we closed out every single night of the tour, just by expressing Jesus' name to people who had never honestly been in a worship service before. So it was pretty cool. So it's just in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise. Do you guys know this song?
Sure, yeah.
It's pretty easy. Okay. In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning
give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Simple like that. When I'm alone. When I am alone. Oh, when I am alone. When I am alone. Just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. When I come to die, oh, when I come to die, oh, when I come to die, just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Maybe we could just end with one of you guys know. Great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great is our God.